Well, we always enjoy welcoming back to the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast. Good friend, sponsor and partner, Johnny Amendola from Mintink. Hey, Johnny, how's it going, buddy?
It's going fantastic. How are you guys?
Hey, hey, hey.
We got
Okay,
the whole
so we
crew
wanted
out.
to have you on because there's a lot swirling up there in Canada as it relates to tariffs and currency and all this sort of
Yes.
thing. So we're gonna attempt because politically Switzerland here,
Yep.
right?
Agreed.
This is not
Yep.
not a political conversation at all. So that's our disclaimer. But there
Absolutely.
is real impact of what is happening in politics on the hockey hobby. And so we want to kind of discuss that and sort of figure out how you guys as card shops are navigating. And but before I turn you loose, I was thinking about you this morning in particular and how you basically, yeah, not in that way, Louis, but thanks for that mental image.
As he said that, the dog got up from behind him. I didn't even know the dog was there.
No, but so I was thinking about like your experience in building Mintink, and as we know from your story, you kind of started Mintink during COVID,
Yes.
and then and had all these like crazy macro environment sort of things that affected your business, and now we're in this kind of another sort of who would have predicted sort of environment. It's like you must just
Yep.
be thinking at some point, can I just have like a normal business operating environment for a year? And
My
or
whole
so I don't know.
career has been in the chaos. So, um, fortunately for myself, and I guess for my team, and hopefully for our customers, I thrive in chaos. However, it's not something that a mass we want to have to do and this and that. So, but it's funny you talk about. So, like I said it, before, lifelong. I've been a lifelong collector in like 2018, 19 when I had kind of senior citizen money. Somebody called me a senior today. I'm only 45. I started to kind of reinvest in the space, and in late 2019, mid 2019, I started to do a little bit more. And funny enough, Jan Feb of 2020, pre-COVID, I had started to do some stuff back on eBay, and yeah, right in April, and we'll tell the whole story again another time. But just this week in the mail came all my trademarks. Mintink, Breaks After Dark, and Breaks After Dark. The hashtag. This
Nice.
is a huge.
Nice.
It's a huge deal. 5 years later, we had. So you talked about COVID, and there was vaccines after dark, and I legit sent them a cease and desist. I'm like, you're infringing on my trademark, and it was like a municipality here. They were trying to whatever. And anyway, so big win this week. The trademarks came in. 5 years later, we're back in the storm. And I like to kind of like think of it as in the storm. And I wore this shirt today. Gary V gave me this shirt. We were chatting, and I filled out a survey, and I'm the decisive duck. So I think that, the ability to just look through with the blinders and not make it political and not make it personal or about myself, or really it's the fiduciary duty to the bottom line, which allows us to pay the payroll, which allows us to give the customers a fantastic experience. So yeah, when our dollar is worth, 30, 40, 50% less than yours, and now there's a 25% tariff on almost everything, we'll elaborate. It definitely makes you, as a business leader, kind of have to stop and take a step back and really reevaluate everything. And the issue with that for some people is, especially if you're like a hyper growth, like, momentum is the biggest delta in business. So when you're going full throttle, and it's one thing you can navigate a few sort of roadblocks along the way. It's another thing when these are like big giant hurdles that even an Olympic hurdleist all of a sudden has a hard time. You have to go back and retrain. If the hurdle's bigger, we have to retrain and reevaluate or pivot, as they say. I don't like these COVID buzzwords, but ultimately, so and the kind of underlying issue is there's just so much uncertainty around it. We don't know if this stops tomorrow or a week from now. And from our perspective in Canada, if the tariff was to go away tomorrow, the weak dollar isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We have below, again, not political, just data. We have like, I looked at this stat last night, and in the last 10 or 20 years, our GDP growth is like 50th in the world. It's insane. And Ireland is actually number one. US is at number 10. So, yeah, so there's all of that global economic. Now, the hobby is alive. The hobby is thriving. Basic economics, supply versus demand, etc. So there's also a lot of, still very positive metrics at play, which can really allow you to make better sort of business decisions. I bought a fidget spinner.
Okay, so I have a specific question on tariffs. So, like, can you get into like the nuts and bolts of for Canadians, like what will be impacted, what won't, and when?
Yeah, sure. I got a lot to say, so I have a big bottle of water.
Jesus.
So, okay, so basically, first and foremost, I'll address. So there's two things. Number one, we were talking. You guys were when we were talking about last week's new release, the currency conversion. So average price of Premier in Canada right now is $4.30 a box Canadian.
Okay.
On your show, you were saying it's $260 to $280 US. How can that be? So $280 US today is $4.20. We're at 0.5. 1.5. The dollar's so bad. You throw the conversion in there, credit card fees, whatever. So you're getting anywhere from 1.42 to 1.5 by the time it's all said and done. Really depends how you're paying for something.
Yeah.
So just straight conversion, 275 US is $400 Canadian now, first and foremost. So there's already that misconception because it's just starting to sound. I remember in the year 2000, before the Nortel and the whole .com thing, I was a power seller on eBay, and we were selling toys, pop culture, all the stuff you see behind me.
Sure.
And the dollar was the same. So I would have a Marvel box of 1999 Marvel cards that was 100 Canadian, and I would put it up at 100 US, and it would sell. And it would be I would sell, or dollar for dollar, in US dollars, and I was working on a 50% margin, gross profit margin, without doing anything. So in one breath, there's optically that. In the same token, if you're selling into the US, so I mean, we can't sell product, new upper deck product in the US, but that doesn't mean as a business owner, I can't sell the rest of my store into the US. So now you're a US buyer and you come on my site and you want this Alex Newhook card that'll be for auction next week and scored on the Sens last week. And let's say this is the right price, which it isn't, but let's say it is, it's $1,000. Well, if Louis goes on eBay and he sees that card, $1,000 is $650. So the one thing, first point we have to remember to sum that up is this. This is the best analogy I give. Wayne Gretzky Cup limited logo, first year cup. It's a $50,000 card. And I'm being hypothetical before you get me in the chat. It's a $50,000 US dollar card. Okay, follow me. Yeah. Today it's 50,000. Tomorrow it's 50,000. Yesterday it's 50,000. If you're in Canada, 50,000 US today is 80,000. Tomorrow it could be 90,000. And 6 months ago it was 40,000. 10 years ago it was 29. It was 48,000. We were ahead of you. So this is the first and foremost thing. Now the entire
it's like a moving target that you always have to adjust.
Well, we're pegged against the whole hobby is pegged against your dollar. So for us, if I buy I'm going to go back to Patrick Mahomes. If I buy a Patrick Mahomes NT for 100,000 US today, I bought somebody the great example. I bought somebody the other day. It was $85,400, whatever. And it converted to like 126,900. That same transaction, I bought the same thing 6 months ago, was almost 10,000 less. Oof. It was still 85,000 US. You got me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And it's funny too. Like, I get how it's pegged to the US dollar, but where maybe Premier is a little bit like on the straight equivalency in Canada is a little bit more, although it's going up in price, it's up $35 already. So people must be
tariffed on the restock, but we'll talk about that next.
Okay. But a lot of times though, it's the opposite, right? Like there'll be a clear cut comes out and like, I'll do the currency conversion and it's like, geez, it's $20 cheaper in Canada.
So goes the other way. Now, other side of the coin is and this is another. So we're good on the US dollar point because that's important for people to know, especially when they have to remember everything I buy on the primary market. So we're not talking about singles. We're talking about wax. We're talking about supplies, gaming, all sports, everything less a handful of products that are printed in Italy are manufactured and printed in the United States. So the US dollar, Funko Pops are 15% more at my cost in September just because the dollar has gone down that much more. So it's very important to understand your local hobby shop is buying. And we're not talking about secondary market. We're talking about primary market. We're talking about new releases every week. We're talking about you need supplies. Once my top loaders are done, that next shipment of supplies from California, well, the price of top loaders are going up. Like, so we have to really understand that. And of course, your local hobby shop, if nothing, nothing to do with it. Hopefully, through subsidiaries, through manufacturers, and through the hobby shops eating some of it, which is sort of what I've been working on all week. We can still keep it very affordable and competitive, because what we don't want to happen is we don't want Canadians to lose interest because we're ultimately getting hosed with a really crappy dollar and tariff. So that's a very important point. To your next point, in Canada, it's illegal. It's against the law, the charter, whatever, to enforce MSRP. So in the United States, you guys get a price. This is the price for so long, with so many terms and rules and regs. In Canada, you could sell me a product, your upper deck, and me and Phil and Louis are all dealers. And Phil wants to sell it for $99, and Louis wants to sell it for $109, and I want to sell it for $95. We can. So,
but wouldn't I lose my privilege of?
Well, no, you would think that, but unfortunately, we'd like to hope that doesn't happen. And
so as a result, as a card shop, do you have to basically price check every day your products then to see?
So there's a lot of price checking, but it really depends on let me think about this for a second. Like, I can only speak to how I run my business.
Yeah, I got
right.
You.
But everybody's in different situations. This is a very, very, very capital heavy industry. Cash flow is key. So, we have Series 2 fidget spinner, EX, and Premier in a 4-week window. I got to put a lot of money out. Like, I got to pay for this product to get the product. So it's not like I get to pay when I get paid, the distributors. Plus, I got to pay for the machine to move it all. So it's a lot happening all at once. Now, so, like a conglomerate.
Can I step in for a second? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm basing this on not stuff we've heard directly from you, but just other people. But I think it's good for people to know is that from what I'm learning, it seems like as a card shop that you have to guess how, to some degree, how people are going to react. So if you order 50 cases of EX2000 and the product falls flat, that's a real problem that you have on your
hands. It's a real problem. And if I ordered, same thing with any other product. And again, I try to always play both sides of the coin. It's a really good product, and I only bought 10, and I wish I bought 100. So we could argue. That argument is, as long as there's more winners than losers, we're net ahead. And if you don't buy on impulse and you use your data properly and your gross margin, bottom line, blah, 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 yes, you should be able to. But it doesn't change the fact that business is expensive. There's always crap that happens. You just never know. And that's a lot all at once. So I may have to unload a product at cost plus, call it, maybe processing fees, to just get my cash back, because I got to just keep the machine going.
Yeah, you got to keep it moving.
So I think that when you see that's what happens. Then alternatively, what happens, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, because in some products there's lots of it, is it hits the secondary market because maybe again people might be stuck, they got to move it. However, somebody got a good deal, and then all of a sudden the box is available on Facebook Marketplace for less money. So from our point of view, there's a lot of price checking. There's a lot of data. AI is a great tool. But we've been doing this for a long time. There's so much historical data. You can't time anything, but again, it's about sustainability. If you're buying this industry way past the COVID boom, like charted against the S&P, I said it last time, for the last couple of decades, supply circle back. It always, the demand seems to catch up eventually. And in this case, and these manufacturers, for the most part, 50, 60, 70% of the product they put out doesn't meet the demand. It's just the other stuff maybe exceeds, but no one has this problem with Copper Premier or Topps Definitive Baseball or Panini Prism. But give me the Panini baseball. I got fidget spinners of that too. So I mean, it's about you gotta just have more wins than losses. And business says if you have more losses than wins, you shouldn't be in that, thing. So there's just to answer your question about how that happens here. There's just a few different factors.
Well, I have a little follow-up question on EXs because I
Sure,
I'm a big Fleer guy. And
me
is it
too.
harder when you have products like that where they don't come out every year? And so, like, when every year you sell X amount of boxes of the cup, the baseline, so you can judge the rookie class
Yeah,
and kind of
yeah.
get an idea of how much you'll need. But when it's a brand new product, or like PHL was another great example. Obviously, enough wasn't printed based on
Not
the
even
demand,
close. So that's a product
right?
4X.
Because
4X.
nobody knew if anyone would care about it.
So
And
the
then
exact opposite happened with the X. Be blunt. So PWHL, oh yeah, and it was like, oh my goodness, it literally went from 1.4. We pre-sold our allotment at 149 a box. Those boxes were worth 400 Canadian the next day.
Oh, that's so crazy. That's wild.
And we would never. I did the same thing. Next week's journey, the Pokemon release is a big deal. It got tariffed. I'm honoring all pre-orders. We're just eating the tariff. Like you just can't go back. I can't do business that way. We never will. You got to make the right decisions, or business is a gamble too. Like you got to take risk. If I thought that EX was going to be a winner because I was a believer in the Bedard thing that's still in everybody's head, like I've been reminded about, or because I'm a huge '90s nerd and this stuff was like, then that's my fault. Overall, because I mean, I hear you and I'm trying to stay very politically correct. Not every product is going to be a winner. Sometimes the losers are bigger. I think it's, what's the rebound? Now, because a lot of people talk, to just address it bluntly, the issue isn't necessarily that the EX isn't the best product. I think for some shops, the issue is it was a lot. It was in between two others all at once. It's a lot. So now I have flagship, which is it's the flagship. I mean, everybody wants flagship. It's back to a very affordable price again. It's
two strong rookies,
$150
right?
a
You got
box.
Minchop and
Two strong rookie
Celebrini.
shops are making
nice
insert.
insert.
We're not. The margin isn't anything crazy, but the volume is there, so everybody wins. Shops aren't getting rich off of it, but it's a great traffic driver. It's selling. It's it's fluid. That's what you want in every product. And Premier is already up. It dropped from the pre-order to release, and now it's on its way back up. And I know that there's none left in Upper Deck. If they have more and more has to come here, it's going to cost 25% more to get it here. So if you go on Dave and Adams today to buy a box of Premier, that's only $275 US. Well, it's not $275 US anymore. It's $343. And then let's get to the tariffs. So I'm going to keep it very macro because I'm not a political science major and I'm not an economist. I'm going to just tell you what I know as it relates to the bills I'm getting. So in a nutshell, any product, and a whole bunch of different products manufactured in the States, from minerals and resources and energy to cardboard, was tariffed at a rate of 25%. So what that means is you will pay an additional tax importing any of said items to the tune of 25%. CIMA. If you look at your UPS bill, you'll see CIMA. I got one the other day for $3,000 on a $12,000 order.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, and it really started getting enforced around March 3rd to March 13th. Anything after March 13th now. So what that means is basically if the card was printed in the United States, then it counts. So if the cards were printed in Italy, so some Phil, SPX is next. You know the release is better than I do. Is SPX next? Yeah. So SPX printed in Italy, there will be no tariff. It doesn't matter that it comes in through it's printed.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it's shipped to the US and then shipped to Canada.
It's manufactured in Italy. Okay. Now, maybe that changes if the European Union gets a tariff, but as of right now, there's no tariff on that. But Premier or EX or flagship, these extended, these products that are printed in the US. So that means the cost of goods goes up. So first thing people say is, well, who's going to absorb that cost? Because nobody wants to pay 25% more for anything. So and you can read in some places there's thresholds of $800 or $2,500. And if you use this tariff code versus that tariff code, I promise you, like, they're all over this. Everything is getting open, everything's getting checked. And, I'm not talking about you're buying a single online, nothing would change there. But, anything that's coming here en masse, or if you're a purchaser buying anything for sure over that $800, I believe, threshold, and don't quote me, it could be zero, it could be everything. But, any hobby shop's not buying a box of something. You're buying cases, multiple, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars at a time. And big picture, the distributors have to buy. So moving forward from the 13th, you can assume most everything in sports and gaming will be. Pokemon already has been, and there's been no relief. The point I was going to make there, which is what the consumers would want to know, is between the manufacturer, the wholesaler, and the retailer, and consumers would just want that. Hey, you guys are going to eat it all, and we're just going to pay the same. So if the manufacturer and the distributor don't subsidize it, and the gross margin on the product is not substantial enough to offset the tariff and still allow enough of a margin to pay the bills, well, I won't subsidize it because I just won't buy it. I can't buy it to work. It's not about not giving the customer what they want. That's the mission now. The pivot, going back to before talking about the chaos, is how can we provide our customers, or what else can we provide our customers, or how can we, make this work? And there's definitely product out there through all manufacturers, Pokemon, Premier, where the demand is so great and the MSRP is what it is that you'll still see it available. A little bit will get absorbed along the way, and the booster box might go up $10 or $20, not $100.
But and I'll speak ill of the dead a little bit here. But if like Synergy was coming out next in 2 weeks, that might be just because, although it has its own cult following and people do like it, and I'm not saying it's a bad product, but it just doesn't have the demand that other products do.
Exactly. So let's just say, as an example, from a business lens, I set a mark and I say, okay, this is the gross margin, that we need to bring in to at the very end of the day, break even. We're not here to screw anybody over. We're here for the long run. We're also not here to operate at a loss, because then we won't be here for the long run. So the good thing is, nobody's going to be forced to take anything. You're going to be forced to make good business decisions. If a product doesn't meet the threshold, or we're making a gamble, then yes, to your point, that's what we would have to take into consideration. So
is that both distributors, Johnny? Is that Grosvenor and Universal, or letting you have the option now to not take product?
I'm going to say, like, industry as a whole, all of the manufacturers, thus the distributors, here's the reality. There's no short of demand in the US for the product that's coming in Canada. Like, if I said I don't want my Premier, they would take it back as fast as they could.
So why don't they do that normally? Why? So I have a bit of a different question here, more of a human question. So you have an Upper Deck, the product manufacturer, and then they give it to a distributor, and then it seems like after the distributor gives it to the diamond dealers and the brick and mortar, that's where the real angst and stress comes. So how do you, as an individual, like a human who's also a friend of us, how do you wake up every day and have to lead that charge, knowing the people above you? Like, do you feel like you're alone on an island a little bit? I know you revel in that, but that is difficult for some people. So Upper Decks, they sell out in the first day. The distributors don't have problems ever. Listen, if you're a distributor and listening, I'm sure you got some problems, but not like Johnny, not like my shop out of the box. They're stressed all the time. You just got over COVID. And now you have to lead the charge for your customers. And what support does Johnny get? What support does my LCS owner get from the distributors and Upper Deck, where you're talking about this now? Like, I can say no to a product, and that's good. Look how happy you are to that. But that's not the norm. Let's not sugarcoat something that's very difficult.
Right. So I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So
I don't mean to put you in a bad spot. You're my buddy, and I see a lot of.
You're not putting me in a bad spot. Like, you're talking about what people say things. So first and foremost, I can say no to whatever I want at any given time.
Okay.
Every action has an equal or opposite reaction. So we're all big boys and girls, and I can make whatever decision I think is in the best interest of my business. If by definition what you're implying is I'm told you've got to do this to do that, well, now I have to just assess, is this worth that, and wins versus losses. And I really have to understand what the blended rate on my gross margin is and what I need to sell every month in order to pay the bills. And I need to have probably a credit facility in place. Probably most of this stuff is like a 90 to 180 day sell through. So the products like Premier that are selling through in a week aren't indicative of how you should be running your business. And I'm not here to judge or coach. I'm simply just, for 20 years, I coached small,
right?
for 20 years, I coached small business. And, you know, I've had some huge losses and some huge wins. Most of my losses came from doing exactly the opposite of what I'm explaining to you, letting my ego and my emotion make decisions and not the data. If the data says don't do it and you do it, I feel not sorry for you. And I've done that. I lost my first house because I let emotion make a decision, and my venture failed and started over, and I'll never do that again. But you know what? I was a baptism by fire, and I like to say I have an MBA because of it. I almost was gonna get on Google and buy like a fake degree and put it on my wall so I could put initials.
You should. I'll give it to you.
So I could put initials beside my name. But honestly, Phil, there's good times and bad times in any business. If it rains all summer long, you will not be as prosperous. If it is hot and sunny and people want landscaping and growing and all that kind of stuff. So diversification is extremely important. I cannot stress that enough. In Orlando at the CDD conference, Jason, the president of Upper Deck, a lot of his keynote was about diversification. Like, they brought Pokemon there. So, I mean, this is a competitor bringing another competitor there. And I think that what you have to understand is it's sort of all big picture. So if you're a hobby shop in Canada and all you sell is 90% hockey, well, then, yeah, you're at the mercy of.
Good answer.
Like guys, you guys brought on Legos, and I don't care how old I am, Legos will never not be cool to me.
Well, guess what Lego's next big play is? The largest IP.
Pokemon, right?
The Pokemon's the biggest IP in the world, 108 billion. It's worth 4 times Disney, and that's the cumulative. Before you at me, Disney, Lucas, and Marvel combined, Pokemon, Pikachu, Charizard, Darth Vader. Get on your Google right now.
No, I refuse to. Nope, I'm turning a willfully
You're an
blind
Ottawa
eye.
Senators fan, so I don't expect anything less from you.
Oh, please.
So hold on. When we started this venture, that was Josh. You know, I talked to Josh a few times about I love that, about my footnotes from the beginning, because he's into all that stuff. And I reverse engineered it. I knew at the same time, just to counter that, because it's very important, there's no way you can be in Canada and not sell hockey cards and be successful. So I knew the journey, the way Upper Deck operates, and how long it was going to take to get all their seals of approval. So we started selling, I mean, obviously singles. I operated grading at a loss for a year. I was doing so much grading, the grading companies finally called us and said, "What are you doing?" And waiting for you to call me. We carry tops, you know, we're the only official tops hobby shop in Canada. Like, that took me 2 years grinding, flying around the country.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's about, you know, people will say to me, like, just to speak bluntly, like, because I think it's the best way to, from my perspective, I answered that query you just threw at me, that like anxiety that I feel too. Absolutely.
Well, every day it's just like we're similar, right? I'm go. I'm the master of my environment. I don't feel 100%. Above who you are. You can, you know, but
so if you have one bucket only of revenue stream, and that one bucket is controlled, to your point, by 1 or 2 people, and you have no say, well, I mean, you know, me and you share a lot of the same political views. That's what we're preaching. So it's no different in business than it is in every other walk of life. So I looked at it and I said, well, you know, so on a week where maybe I got to eat one, I've got 6 or 7 other things that are making. And you know what? If every so often I win across the board, because that has to happen or I didn't do it right. I can just get up and keep on going and keep on thriving. But the
Big
biggest thing, the biggest thing I've learned in 25 years, 20 years, I guess, of coaching businesses and being my own business and looking at big wins and big losses. And, we helped the food chain go from 20 stores to 100. And it's like, if you don't, you have to be able to look 6 or 12 months down the road at minimum, or else, forget it. Especially when you get past a certain, I have 25 employees now. I can't just rely on selling hockey cards anymore.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Okay, so I have a question. A timing question is that you have to, at your level, right? You have to plan and you have to be thoughtful and play chess, not checkers, right?
I love to play
When
chess.
it comes to the tariff issue, how long are you planning for? Like what's your business? I know your hope is, and everyone's hope is, it ends immediately. No matter what side of the spectrum you're on, nobody wants tariffs, right? I mean, I think hopefully we can agree
I'll
on
tell
that.
you, I could not agree more. We don't want tariffs. The amount of Americans that reach out to me and, oh, John, and I was like, one of my distributors in the States, he's like, man, I'm sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? I said, just do me a favor. Sell me high margin stuff so I can keep the momentum going. Like, just sell me different stuff that people will buy. And
use the guilt as leverage.
Away we go. And you know what? We're really working like, again, for myself and for my customers, I'll use Tops as an example. I'm not stopping. I'll just, like I said, I have a formula. And if I have to get this and I'm supposed to buy this, and if I have to take a little bit less of this or a little bit of this and a little bit more of this, like, again, I'm chasing now a very much a blended rate. How long do I think it's going to last versus how long I want it to last? I want the fact that I put in 50 hours into reorganizing the procurement around all this. In the last 2 weeks, I would love if I found out tomorrow it would be over and I would put another 50 hours to go back in. That would be the best use or waste of use of my time ever. Reality is, especially for the viewers in the States that don't know this, but we don't have a functioning federal government. And when I say that, I don't mean that as a shot at the governing party.
He doesn't.
I mean, literally, our government was probated. They left. The prime minister resigned. They party put somebody in place, kind of like what you guys did there with Kamala. There was no real primaries or anything like that. And now they're in the midst of, there's hearsay that they're going to call an election this coming week. So what happens is until actual government's formed, regardless of the winner, until government is formed, there's nobody officially that can, go to Washington and actually start
to negotiate. There's really no negotiator that has any.
Nobody running the show.
So you've got all these premiers who are like the equivalent of your governors.
Yeah. Like
showing up in Washington. Oh, we're going to cut the hydro off, or, making demands. So we have a situation here, and you have to understand Canada is a little bit the same of the States in the sense that not quite as different regionally, but East Coast is East Coast, Central Canada, then you got Quebec, and then you got the West Coast, and then BC is a little bit of everything. So it's now on top of the fact that we don't have this governing party and all this divide, we have divide amongst the divide. So I think that sometime between the end of April or October 20th, I think it's the second Tuesday in October, whatever that is, we will have an election. At that point in time, this discussion will get a little further. I don't think that it'll happen before then, because I don't think, and I may be wrong, but without functioning government, I don't think that we can even meet any of the United States administration's demands, because I don't think they can really pass things, and I don't think we can change border security, so to speak, at mass overnight.
Our parliament closes up for the summer too, right? So you can't.
We have we're not talking politics today. We're talking tariffs about.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah.
So
if we sent, me and Louis were going to send Phil to the border, and
we should send him. Except he needs to go to like that border in Alberta, not here. It's too friendly here. Send him to like that Alberta. He's like, I'm going to the Packers game.
Cheesehead.
So I think that as much as we want it to end tomorrow, I think that it could be a little bit longer. I don't think it's going to be, forever. I also think that there's also, besides just this specific thing, a lot of the other things were kind of already there. So, it's really hard to say. But on the other side of the coin now, because we have to talk positive. I'm a positive person.
Of course.
Our American business is way up.
Oh,
you know.
good for you.
So again, it's about diversification. You're buying it at a really good rate.
What is your American business? Just so I understand exactly what you're talking about.
I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to really tell you that on here because too many of my competitors listen. But it's not a couple percent. But we are definitely a Canada first business. I'll tell you this much. At one point in time, not that long ago, it was under 5%. I built a Canada first company. There is a video online for me, December 2020, when I knew that this hobby was going to be what it is, and I knew Mintink would be a staple. And I said, when you think of the hobby in Canada, I want it to be synonymous with Mintink. I will be clear, everything we do. So like I'm literally buying product to break even to just keep the machine moving. So everything we do is for the greater good, we're in it for the long run. Haters hate, that's just a sign of success. It means that we're doing something right. And I love taking up places in people's brains, man.
And, okay, maybe let me be a little more specific because I think you interpreted my poor question differently than I intended it, which is my fault. But is by American business, is that stuff that you're selling to people like me and Louis here in America?
Yeah, number of buyers.
Oh, okay.
New business, American new business. This is a better stat I could give you. Yeah. My new business of US customers in the last 30 days is a couple of fold.
Nice. Okay.
Johnny, well, you could make the eye in Mintink, one of them or both of them, the maple leaf. The dot.
Oh yeah, and we should do a little alternative logo.
Well, you want to be
Canada is not for sale. Mintink hat. but all our cards are, and your dollar is worth lots of money. So all you Americans, Mintink.ca, we ship everywhere.
Okay.
Can I float a theory by you that I've been hoping for?
Sure.
But I think you would be, and I mentioned it to these guys. Do you think, like, as a result to what people like me that are probably the consumer, what's wax going to be like at the expo? Are we going to have cheap wax for people like that want to buy cheap wax?
So two things about wax at the expo. Number one, not a lot of wax at the expo. You have a few of the larger dealers like us that'll bring wax, but I got that vibe because I love to buy wax. There are warehouses, houses, stores, and basements full of wax. The tariffs are, remember, media is great telling you this has been going on for 2 months. The tariffs are like 11 days.
Prohibition. Are we gonna have like wax speakeasies that you have to like knock and say the secret code?
Oh, listen, you don't understand, but that's his. So somebody said this to me the other day. Well, can I go to the States and bring it over? And I'm like, well, you can, but go read up on about prohibition in the 30s and what that was like for people if you weren't Al Capone.
I'm a bootlegger.
Before you, and I want to just
dig a tunnel.
Hold on. PSA to the viewers, because there's people out there. The almighty dollar makes you do things.
Sure.
They will destroy you. If you think you're going to go to Dave and Adams, load up your car because you got some American cash and you're going to come here and you're going to double dip because you're not going to pay tariffs, they will get you one way or another. You might get it the first time, and they will make examples. This is one of those things where they're going to make examples of people. You will get the book. It'll just be the miserable day. And all that's going to happen is you're going to just have to pay the bill. It's going to cost you the whole day. Every single time you cross the border, you're going to get flagged. So you do your thing. If you have Nexus, you're never going to get it again. So I've had a few people seriously say that to me. Like, well, I'm going to go to Dave and Adams and spend $100,000 and I'm going to make 25 grand. I'm like, or you're going to pay 50 and never be able to go to the States again. So you do, again, you make your, what do they say? You make your bed, you lie in it. So I think there's going to be, I'm buying wax on the secondary market like crazy right now. Again, I got to keep my shelves full. People come in, my store's very busy. The be all and end all in this hobby isn't the 3 releases that came out this week. Now, 6 months, 12 months down the road. The other thing is, can we be frank? Are you telling me, and I'm going to be frank here, like Phil, I'm going to talk to you guys like I'm not the guy that owns the store. You're going to tell me I'm going to have a hard time selling the 6 or 8 or 10 cases a cup if it's 20% more? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
I mean, am I going to have a hard? If the Panini Prism box is $1,000 or $1,200 and the same 20 are only available? So at the end of the day, basic economics prevails in the top of this space as well. So unfortunately, if we can't get more resourceful, if we can't get more of those people thinking like, okay, let's see if we can weather the storm and make some money in some other areas, it's the entry level that feel it. It's the kids can't get a $6 pack of Pokemon cards or a $6 pack of hockey cards. So, and that's where you feel it when 6 is 8, not when 1,000 is 1,100, because the $1,000 buyer doesn't care.
So the wax at the expo thing. So you're saying that more people are stashing and waiting than are gonna.
Well, I'm saying the only wax at the expo that would be like overinflated or not even overinflated, adjusted for market, would be anything that's just new this year. Because you could argue like not even this year, like the new releases. Like sure, if you want a Topps product that came out a month ago and it's limited in Canada and we're sold out of it and every other store sold out of it, and you got to go to Dave and Adams, then yeah, you're paying 25% more. So the question is if I've been holding 3 cases of something for a year, but that's now the market. The same breath says, well, why can't I sell you? Where did my fidget spinner fall on the floor? I'm supposed to give you a $50 off on this box, but you don't want to pay market price on this box. This is so this is what's going to happen. But yeah, short answer is, of course, there's going to be deals. There's always deals.
Good.
Yeah.
Like to hear that.
No.
So
we'll have lots of deals. Come see us, Mintink. We'll have 1,000 square foot presence right in the middle of the expo, right close by to these fine gentlemen and my buddy Karn and the team at Slap Sharks. And you know what? Let's get it all weekend, baby.
Are you in the same? Is that the same like layout and configuration as the last show?
Yeah. As far as I know, okay. I'm not supposed to say that. Are you guys doing the Chateau again?
No.
Of course.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we got
Chateau.
the house.
Oh yeah, no Rip Party. Sorry, I thought I was thinking Rip Party. Yeah,
no, we're doing Rip Party in November again. It's a once a year thing. We decided.
Yeah, that's a big operation.
And thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your really big donation this year for the next Rip Party. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
sure.
Thanks, man.
I didn't know that there was a $25,000 bill in Canada.
Josh, what's that?
Oh.
I didn't know that Canada printed a $25,000.
Hey, never mind. If I was a really shrewd negotiator, I would say to you, hey, my sponsorship on your show cost me 10% more than when I signed up. Your administration keeps devaluing my dollar, but I'm a big fan, so I'll support anyway, even for 10%.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And you have to know that as Americans, we only care about ourselves, right? I mean, that's part of the condition of being an American.
I'm an only child and I don't know how to share. So selfishly, I should have just been an American because I might fit that bill. But yeah, so just to recap, if I can really quickly, because it's very important. A couple of things I want to make sure all the viewers understand. First of all, the Canadian dollar is the lowest it's been in almost 2 decades. So when $300 actually is $450, I know it doesn't sound right. For you Americans, make sure when you're negotiating with Canadian sellers on eBay, that extra $1 or $2, be nice. Number 2, tariffs aren't going away tomorrow, and there really isn't a workaround. Hopefully, distributors, and further to what you said earlier, Phil, these distributors need us to succeed ultimately. So they're not just going to leave anybody out high and dry. There's always a way. I mean, especially if you're a good dealer and you're in good standing and you're paying your bills and you've been doing this for a long time, like nobody wants to see anybody suffer, especially to your point, people at the top that have been making a lot of money for a long time. That's not the way this works. We're all about the long-term sustainability. Awesome. And some distributors, like I said, Bandai. So if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, Bandai's assuming most of it. So I don't think you're going to notice a difference there. Pokemon came out this week and said the price Pokemon market's up.
Well, I hope the hockey boys take a page out of TCG's and Bandai's playbook. It'd be nice.
We'll see. Again, we hope that in any industry, like, hey, listen, if you have kids and all of a sudden, I mean, I don't think it would ever get that extreme, but imagine, you had to start looking at things like where your diapers were from. So, I mean, it's definitely there, and it's hopefully it's something that it's really petty at the end of the day, and we hope it all just kind of goes away. But again, diversification is very, 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 very important. Support your local shop, and my best piece of advice to like my colleagues in the industry is, what if there wasn't ever a better time for you to look at diversifying?
Sure.
Now's the time.
Very good advice. Okay, I want to talk about 2 more things before I let you go.
Give it.
Expo related a little bit more, and then National Hockey Card Day. So on the Expo,
I forgot about that one.
The trade night is back on Saturday night, right at the International Center, starting at 6 p.m. So you can go right from the show into there. It is a $5 entry fee, but the proceeds go to a charity near and dear to you, the Mackenzie Health Foundation. So it's pretty awesome that you're doing that again.
Yeah, so it's actually $3 US. If you want to make a donation, you can buy a ticket.
And Canadian.
Just say it. So, yeah, mental health is very important. I have a great therapist. That's a big piece of my success. I've been a proponent of mental health and for my whole life. So when we started Mintink, prior to Mintink, in my previous world, I had made this big contribution, and that world came crumbling down. So we built it back, and I said, hey, we're going to do this again. So we made a 5-year commitment for $100,000 to the Mackenzie Health Foundation for youth mental health. After this year's trade nights and golf tournament, we'll be at $50K. So we're halfway after 2 years. My goal is obviously to eclipse it. So the event is, as you said, happening right on site. It is right after, so it's uber convenient. We have room for about 500 or 600 people. Again, it's ticketed for 2 reasons. Number 1, to control attendance. Number 2, and way more importantly, is we donate the money and I match it, because once upon a time, somebody said something about the event because, everything should be free. So I said, you know what? We're not going to make it free, but let's go even one step further. So it's been tremendous. We sell it out every year. We're donating. So we're selling out 500 tickets. We're matching it. We're donating $5,000 twice a year, and we raise about another 10 or 20,000 at our golf tournament. So super important to me. Tickets are available. Tons of people just make donations. I'll match it all the way up to 5K. So up to $5,000, we can go way past the 2,500 and we'll match it.
Great music.
It's a great event, great music, great time. You're going to meet a whole bunch of people that have everything like you do in common. So we're going to make new friends. And thanks to great sponsors like Grosvenor and eBay and Slab Sharks and the Gong Show and ImpactThe and the Sport Card Expo and Mikey and my team, we get to do it and have a great time.
Awesome. Well, look, we will be there for sure. Looking forward to that. Could not miss that. And then talk a little bit about your plans for National Hockey Card Day.
So, okay, I'm telling you right now, and you're going to hear it on this podcast first before probably my creative in the video that I just shot. So Upper Deck does National Hockey Card Day every year. And basically, it's a day where shops celebrate the hockey card hobby. So there's limited edition packs that go out, and we'll do giveaways all day. We'll put all kinds of Upper Deck product on sale, even Tariffs stuff. We'll put it all on sale. We'll have supplies on sale. We do giveaways all day. Upper Deck supports, we have a ton of freebies. So it's really just a great day for us to give back to the community and all the people that support the hockey card hobby. So this year, we're going to take it one step further. My buddy Grimazing, the level 7 magician, is back. Everybody's favorite superhero, Spider-Man, is coming back for an appearance. The kids love Spider-Man. We have some great music. My good buddy Carlo Coco Koliakovo, host of TSN's First Up and former, not Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs first-round draft pick, is hosting with me, and Wendell Clark's coming. So Wendell Clark will be on site. Yeah, Toronto legend. We just locked him up.
Ask him to come on our show.
I try, guys. I got to tell you, Josh asked me. I apologize. I'll work it for another time. It was very tough last minute. I'm just really happy. I promised the community I would get somebody. So Wendell's coming, and thanks to our good friend, the Felix Potvin Collector, and a couple of other sponsors, the event's going to be free. It's not going to be an autograph session. I'm not into that. I'm into the community has a good time. So for an hour and a half, Wendell will be on site, shaking hands, I meant not kiss babies, ripping packs, taking photos, asking questions, just being a collector. So I'm really grateful to, again, my team and the community and Upper Deck and Anthony, the Felix Potvin Collector, for bringing it. So yeah, so myself, Coco, Grimazing, Spider-Man, Wendell, the team, free stuff all day. Where else you going? That's it.
Will there be refreshments?
Of course. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Pizzaville. Jeez, Freddie's gonna get mad at me. When he says, oh you talk for it. He's gonna say, I just listened to the podcast. You talked for an hour, you didn't stop talking, and you forgot to mention Pizzaville. Thanks to our partner at Pizzaville, who's a very large local Ontario chain, 100 locations. From 12 to 4, there will be pizza and refreshments available, courtesy as well. So it's going to be a great day. Basically, fun, free food, celebrities, guests, more fun. You driving up, Phil?
No, I don't think he can, though, because he'll be in some small, ridiculous town in Canada, but he'll be shipping his boxes from Mintink.
If you send me a charter.
No, you know what, Phil? I'm sure our buddies Out of the Box is going to have a great day that day there. So make sure you at least get out there. For anybody else, there's some of these, I could tell you, Wayne's in Edmonton. Sorry, Alberta. Sorry, Wayne. He might be in Edmonton or Calgary. I don't know Gretzky, but this guy, 2,000 people will go through his store on Hockey Card Day. So some of these guys can at pastime that have been doing this, these vets that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. I mean, that's where I'm trying to say, okay, Wayne, I'm going to get 1,500 people through my store. I won't get anywhere near that. So just forget about Mintink for a second. Any diamond dealer across Canada should be, and I can almost say most definitely will be celebrating National Hockey Card Day. So make sure you get out to your local LCS. And if you're in the Toronto area, Mintink's going to be killer that day.
Yeah.
Of course, always. Well, you're a beauty, Johnny, and you're always making
you guys
moves.
are beauties too.
And appreciate you. I think it's coming in and being honest and talking about how this is going to impact you and the hobby, and it is kind of a crazy situation, and hopefully it just ends sooner than later.
The way through it is, like I said, it's about unity and just checking egos and working together. And I'll say it every single time I'm on any interview, and people can say or think what they want, but for me, the greater good is what I'm after. The busier shows are, whether we're there or we're not there, the busier stores are, whether I own them or I don't own them, doesn't matter to me. If everybody's busy, we're all winning. The space grows together. Phil can love Mintink. He's not going to get his car and drive 5 hours to come buy a box. There's 20 places he can go in between.
Phil would.
So, I mean, it's important to me that people like you continue to give a platform to not only have fun and talk about the hobby, but talk about this real life stuff that really predicates what people like I do every day, and my counterparts to bring the experience to your listeners ultimately.
Yeah. Well, right? We can't wait to see you next month in Toronto.
It's gonna be like that a month today. Yeah. All right.
Crazy. All right.
You guys are the best. Thanks for having me, and keep up the great work, boys. Love it.
We'll see you soon, Johnny. Bye.